So in this day and age, the words back to school have a different meaning than even they did last year. And so how does that impact your health? We're going to talk about that today on Natural Health Dialogue with naturopathic Dr. Randy Lee. Randy, what's the gist of what we're going to talk about?
We did a blog, we did a podcast, both last year in June on back to school, and I covered all the normal things that we would want parents to do when you're getting your kids ready to go back to school. But this year I looked at it and I said, you know what? Much of what we said last year ain't going to happen, to put it in the vernacular.
It's true.
It's just not. It's a different year. It's a different world in which we live. So back to school means a lot of different things to the kids this year and to their parents. Parents are wondering if I'm going to have to keep the kids home, how am I going to work my job and keep them at home? Of course, many of the parents have lost their jobs as well, so that's another whole issue that we're not going to address today. But basically, I said kids are going to have to go back to school. They may not go to the schoolhouse. As a matter of fact, some of them are going to go back to a classroom environment. Some are going to be doing online training. That's being considered very popularly by a lot of school systems. Some are homeschooled, and so their life doesn't change much. They never did have a lot of the social interaction that others had, except in homeschool groups, which are also going to be limited or modified this year. And some have just joined a little small community co-op type things where they get just a few kids together and try to share some teaching.
Yep, I've done that in various forms.
And they're using lots of diverse curricula as well. Nevertheless, the health challenges are equally as diverse as the system is. I'm not even going to go into all of the virus stuff, the coronavirus stuff.
Right.
We're getting updates on that. I'm going to say ad
place.
nauseum,
Yes.
but I don't really mean it that way. It's a positive thing that we're getting the information, but we're getting it every time you turn the TV on, every time you turn the radio on. There's something new about what's going on in that realm. And so we know that it's a major concern for virtually everyone these days, and lots of legal requirements coming about as a result of that, a lot of school closures, a lot of public forum that are being closed. And so we won't worry too much about that. But I wanted to say, what can you do then to get the kid ready for the school year in the midst of all of this kind of stuff? And a few of the things that we had last year still apply, and there are a couple of new things as well. I still stick with number one is number one. The kid's got to be healthy. So you need to make sure that you get a well-balanced vitamin and mineral supplement. And this week at our store, we're offering all the kids' vitamins and minerals. That's our discounted product for the week. So I know a lot of time, every week when we do one of these, we try to tie a product special for the store. We almost never talk about those. But in fact, you can look on Facebook, you can look on our website. There are a lot of places where we do post the special for the week. And the special for this week in August of this year, we're going to be offering all the kids special, all the kids vitamins and minerals at a discount. So take a look at those. I think it's the number one thing that you need to do in terms of the kids' health. Now, that's not the protective part of it. That's the addressing the keeping the kid well part of it. So well-balanced meals are almost non-existent anymore.
Right.
Very few people are able to do that, and now that you can't go out to restaurants or those kinds of things, you're not even going to get that kind of attempt either. It's what you can throw together at home is what they're going to eat. So they really need those vitamins and minerals.
It's a necessity
they can't function
today.
without them. So so come and get your one. Second is mental alertness is absolutely imperative. Regardless of where you're studying or where you're learning or the curriculum you're using or the formats you're using, you still got to have mental alertness in order to get that. It's tougher than ever to focus on learning for kids. They've got so many other things that are on their plate, so many worries, so much stress that we haven't had in the past as it relates to schooling. When you tell a kid, you've gone to school all these years, but this year we're not going to send you back to school, that in itself is going to
That's a stress.
That's going to be a lot of stress. So establish an early routine. Try to stick with the routine to keep that something that doesn't change constantly for the kid. Give them and make sure that they've got adequate time for rest and for exercise and for homework, and then diverse activities. And under diverse activities, I said, many of the things that kept our kids really, really active, the sports programs, the gymnastics, the soccer, the football, baseball, those things, the extracurricular activities and things, most of those have been canceled for the year.
Right.
There are a few here and there, but the vast majority of them are gone. So you're going to have to find ways to keep your kids active. You don't want them to turn into a bunch of couch potatoes. I mentioned last week on a blog that a sedentary lifestyle is the new cancer.
Yeah.
If the kids aren't moving, their bowels aren't moving, their lymphatic systems aren't moving, their circulatory systems are depressed. They're not going to be healthy without that movement.
Exactly.
And without those the forced movement of all those extra activities that they got in school, you're going to have to make up the way. Be very creative in how you can keep the kids focused, keep them concentrating. And we also have some supplements that will help with the focus and concentrating part. Okay. I don't have a pill that exercises you. Yeah. You're going to have to get up and move.
Right.
That's going to be necessary, and you may need to be creative in how you're able to do that. I watched some of the last 5 minutes of many of our newscasts here in Oklahoma City, where they talk about things that people are doing with their kids these days that are trying to keep them active and keep them interested. I applaud that, and I think the rest of us ought to get on board with those kinds of activities.
Yeah.
And then the next thing is that is always important, but certainly more important this year, is you need to consider adding some kind of immune system booster. You want your kid not to catch those things that are running around.
Right.
So lots of different immune system things that you can do. We talk about wearing a mask. That's actually an immune thing. Keeps you from catching a virus. We talk about sanitizing. I go beyond sanitizing and say just remember old-fashioned hands hygiene, not just sanitize, but just keep clean.
Right.
Bathe often, regularly with an antibiotic soap if you've got it. Brush your teeth after each meal, not just once a day or not just before bedtime, but brush them often, and use an antibacterial mouthwash. We want to try to kill out some of those bacteria. I wanted to mention sweeteners. It's not even in my blog, but I've said before that one of the biggest things that I'm against is sugar.
Right.
It's the number one inflammatory agent that you could possibly put into your body.
Oh, yeah.
So where bacteria are concerned, consider a sweetener like xylitol or erythritol. They're all natural. They're less than half the calories of sugar. They also there's a bowel tolerance factor there, so you have to start off real slow and move up as you do that. But it also kills bacteria. It's an antibiotic, particularly the bacteria that are in the mouth. But you're actually killing some bacteria using sweet things if you sweeten them with xylitol instead of with sugar, which is an inflammatory thing. The immune system boosting herbs that I personally like are echinacea and elderberry. Elderberry nowadays not only comes in liquids and capsules and tablets, but it's now in gummies. I've got 3 or 4 different varieties of elderberry gummies in the house, in the shop, and liquid elderberry as well in a syrup form or in a concentrated form. So you only need to take a small amount of it. They're tasty. Yeah. And in addition to being tasty, they also boost your immune system.
And what kid doesn't like an elderberry gummy,
Yeah, you got it. I do.
Yeah.
As if the kids didn't have enough stress, this pandemic has also brought on conditions that are way above average for most students. Increased mental stress, increased muscle aches and pains from just laying around and letting their muscles begin to atrophy and then try to get up and move around, and they're sore from those kinds of things. And the increased emotional anxiety that they have. It's going to be a year where we're going to need to try to learn to find a positive way of greeting everything. I would say that the greatest challenge to our parents today is finding a way to put a positive twist on every adventure that comes along.
Right.
This wonderful time of the year has added burdens that other wonderful times of the year haven't had in years past. So try to be creative, try to be positive, and work with your kids to make this a good school year, even in light of the things going on in the world around us.
All right. Very good. Good advice, Randy. Thank you. And thank you all for listening. And if you like this content, you're blessed by it, feel free to like it on your whatever you use to listen to podcasts. Subscribe, and even give us maybe a 5-star rating, if you have a chance.
That'd be nice.
Absolutely. Helps us a lot to keep this going. So until next time, please be healthy, and we'll see you next time.